Hello everybody. We are off with the long-awaited construction of a joiner's bench. There is some beechwood right next to me. This stock here would make several joiner's benches. I'll stick to just two. A prototype at first, followed by a final product. It is a 50mm beech, slabbed by Jaff Polska. This has not changed for a while now. Where do we start? From studying the documents. They can also be downloaded from Dictum. But they will come useful a little later, as first I'll start to cut this beech and prepare it for gluing. When the elements are in the pressing machine, I will go through the papers. Right now the one key factor is the dimensions of the glulam we want to make. We are going for roughly 1000 by 500 mm. Of course thickness is important. I will make the small joiner's bench heavy. So I won't save on the material. We'll turn the glulam this way and it will make 101.6 mm, 4 inches. It will be important as this is exactly the thickness of one element which is already ready. We will stick to the inch dimensions. I'm not going to change that. It will be precise and accurate work. I'm off for work and you keep your fingers crossed that it goes smooth and easy. I started my work from fixing a disc dedicated for cutting the wood with grain. I must admit that I hate doing it. Sometimes I cut with general-purpose blades. But I didn't want to risk here. There is no need to wear out the machine now. I will cut with grain a lot. So I changed the blade. Beech is a type of wood that can stop a saw blade. It can jam the disc while cutting. Maybe this timber would not cause this kind of problem, as it is steamed beech, but still. Cross-cutting is usually as you can see. A handsaw and working on the ground or on tables. As you can see, the arrangement of tables is important. The waste material itself is very heavy and can stop the machine. As I see there was a lot of smoke, I guess I forgot to turn on the vacuum cleaner. What I'm fixing at the end right now, I have shown several times before, for initial cutting. Or for this first edging. A neat handle that blocks the material and then we only use the sliding table scoring unit in this first cutting line is just perfect. Without it, there would be problems, but it is doable. Maybe I will make a film about how to edge without the sliding table. Second cut is a piece of cake. A rip fence and here we go. Also, these elements were shorter here, so it was not very heavy. Here we see, thicknesser. And here, as you see I'm jumping to another stage. First, of course, an edging machine. I'd like to remind you that I still work with an edging machine with thick knives. The most traditional ones. I'm not complaining. Of course, if I want perfectly finished surfaces, the spiral knife cutter block and the thicknesser will finish the material perfectly. I always say here that first I start with planning upright, as the material is thicker. So it is more stable. That's how I do it. Later I have to do some winding as I don't have an automatic table raising. But you can get used to just anything. Some chips production. There wasn't too much cuttings as I wanted to have as much as possible for gluing. But from this 50mm I got some 45 to 42mm. Beech can be twisted. I have an aluminium tool with grooves and the glue is spread, but here the roller was 80mm wide. While the glue arm was 100mm, so 20mm was missing. Obviously you can see a single strike with this system. Of pressure application of glue and with a brush there is a lot of work and the result is not as good. In some spots there will be more glue, in others, less, which I try to avoid. Maybe one day my printed heads for the glue applicator will be made and I'll show you how to make any widths. Everything was placed in the press and a hearty lunch would do. We need some strength to press it well. This glue arm was about 105mm, the press works on one side. So from the outside I wanted to add 4 more clamps. This is the first time I used the hex key so well to press it so strongly. There is no place and time to be gentle since it is to be glued well, so you need to do it properly. Right, I fetched a hex key and tightened some more. Now we need a trolley for help. The glue arm was quite heavy. I need to allow for the fact that my thicknesser is one of the smallest ones and loading elements that are so heavy for. The input and output shafts must be thoughtful. We need to extend the tabletops. I can look through the machine and adjust 2 trolleys to the current height of the table. The width was 395mm in here. So I have a reserve of just 5mm on each side. I think it was the first time when I used so extensive width of the shaft at once. The result is a beautiful beech glue arm. Even on the one side. I have removed the excessive glue. so the thicknesser was enough. Cuttings to the target 101.6 mm, or 4 inches. I can tell you, it was quite heavy. It's good it was not too long. Now it's time for cross-cutting. Look, I'm using a clamp fixed to the sliding table. The material is really heavy and a lever is created, which hangs over the outside part of the table. In order to do it well and retain the right angle, look how after clamping the gap. Disappeared at the sliding table. I straighten the material and we get the right angle. I cut on the one side, cut on the other side and look, 1 mm too little? So I evened it out with a hand plane. I have cut this 1 mm with a plane. Several strokes with a smoothing plane and the surface is finished. One last cut along is left. I have made the glue lom a bit wider than necessary. Last cut along. Little left, huh? So little, but the cut needs to be done twice. No problem with that. We cut along the parallel T-square, so it is a fast cut. It's a short film, because we cannot do a lot, but this is the basis from which to start. Here is the part that I have cut off the joiner's bench, i.e. 100 mm each. Of course a joiner's bench can be thinner. It can be half as thick, 40 mm for example. Later additions can be made. At the external sides of the bench, where tool posts will be, where the clamp will be applied. The outside bands must be thick, but the center can be a little thinner. However, I always say that if a joiner's bench is lightweight, then you must fix it to the floor or to the wall. I had no major problems with gluing itself. One issue you saw was the too narrow glue roller. One question comes to my mind that is frequently raised with regard to joiners' benches: what material should their tables be made of? For legs it does not matter, they just need stability. The tabletop is what matters. One can check historically what our grandfathers' joiners' benches were made of. 90% of them it was oak. Now, after my research, also hornbeam, beech, maple and oak. Those four kinds in my opinion. Are most suitable. Hardness, resilience is as it should be. I also look at the joiners' benches of specialized manufacturers and beeches prevailing there. That's all for today. Click like, please. I need you activity. Also, remember about the info under the film. I get lots of emails. Jarek, Where is a link? Can I ask for some information? All is provided under the film. It does not cost much. Show more, expands full information about the film, and it is always there. That's all for today. I'm heading off behind the camera where a complete joiner's benches and get down to work. See you soon.